Yo, hi everybody at YouTube, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of the lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. So today, I'm just going to check some emails on Christmas Eve. I will periodically check over in the chat here, so if anybody here has any questions, you can certainly post those as I'm doing this. In fact, let me make a quick message here. Let me go ahead and write this over here. Okay, so I'll put that here. Okay, so you guys can see that, so post any questions you might have about my online course. You can also ask me really anything that you think is going to help you. If you have any questions about how to improve your speaking or how to improve your writing, I will put that here. I'll write this one here too. Post any questions about TOEFL preparation in general. So my expertise is pretty simple. I help students improve their academic English language proficiency, which ultimately helps them improve their TOEFL score. So that's kind of what I do. Yes, and Merry Christmas to you. My comments go over to Zinwave Zhang, and you said Merry Christmas, and I'm going to say Merry Christmas right back to you. And for Khalid, you had a question. How much does it take to improve your speaking skills? The question is, where are you right now? And where do you want to be? So what is your... I can't exactly answer this question, but I can tell you this. Let's say your score right now is around 22 points out of 30 on the speaking section of the test, Khalid. So if you want to get a score of 26, you have to, it takes maybe about 45 hours of practice for every point that you want to get higher than where you are. So if your score is 22 and you want to go to 26, you're probably looking at, you want to get about 4 points higher. You're looking at anywhere from 160 to 200 hours of practice to get your speaking skills high enough to reach that 26 threshold. So Khalid, to answer your question again, it typically takes anywhere from one month all the way to maybe 5 or 6 months, depending on what you want to do. So that would be my answer to that question. All right, Khalid. Xinwei Zhang, you say you look young than your real age. I would say here you look younger than your real age. And you know what I want to do? If I could give you a hug right now, I would. Thank you for your kind words. I am 51 years old. I am not young. I'm an old man. However, I work out in the morning every day. I typically run anywhere from 8 to 15 kilometers in the morning. Also, I have a partner at California State University, San Bernardino. We work out together when school's in session on Mondays and Wednesdays. So we like to do weights and we do some exercises for our ab and all of that. Alright, so let's go to Suvas. You had a question. You need speaking skill tips, sir. Alright, I can do that. Speaking skill tips. Let me go over to... I'm going to go over to my Word here, and I'm going to give you some tips right now. And maybe check this out to give me a quick second here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so for speaking skills, I'll give you some basic tips right now. Give me a quick second. So I'm going to go over to where we have, I have a Word document, so let's call this Improve Your Speaking. Now, one of the things you guys can do right now is actually take notes. I think taking notes is very useful during all sections of the exam and even during the speaking. So as I am giving you this information here, you can practice writing down some of this information. So first of all, and I'm going to give you my opinion, and you guys can see what you think about it. Remember that I am a TOEFL speaking specialist. So the first thing I want to do is, let me go back over to it's Suvas Kandaka, right? So Suvas, can you tell me a little bit more about your specific situation? So what is your goal? How high of a score do you want to get? And where are you right now? For example, would you consider your speaking skills, if you looked at the TOEFL exam, are you around 20 points out of 30? Are you 23 points out of 30? 24 points out of 30? Where are you right now? If I know that, that will give me more information about your situation. So, okay, let's go back here. So first of all, I think it's a good idea to get a diagnostic pretest. What I recommend that my students do is right away when they join my course, I recommend that they do a pronunciation pretest. That's one thing I recommend. Pronunciation is very tricky. It's important for me as a TOEFL IBT speaking specialist. I need to figure out any problems that you might be having with your vowel and your consonant sounds. That's one of the first things that I like to do, is to do a pretest, right? So once you do the pretest, I will recommend specific lessons in my online TOEFL course to help you improve, right? And then you're going to study those lessons and you'll practice those lessons, and then at the end of the videos there are some pronunciation exercises in which you will record your voice, and then you can send those audio files to me and I will listen to them and I will tell you how you're doing with your pronunciation. So that's one of the first things I recommend that you do. The second thing, with my online course, and let me answer a quick question here. I can answer this one pretty quickly. Somebody was asking about the cost of my course, which is a great question. Where is it? Let me go back to, yes, okay, Xinhui Zhang. So how much money do I spend using your online courses every month? You say that I am from mainland China. I'm trying to find a way to pay money for you. Okay, here's how it costs. Remember that my online course, if you compare it to an intensive English program, an intensive English program or an English language program, these typically cost thousands of dollars in the United States. They're very expensive. My online course is only right now, it's $45 a month that you pay, and what you do is, Xinhui Zhang, is you create a PayPal subscription. You create a subscription, or if you go to my website at onlinetoeflcourse.com, actually I will put it here. If you go to onlinetoeflcourse.com, you can find out more about my course, and there you can check out, there's an area where it says FAQs at the top. There's a tab. It'll say FAQs, and that means frequently asked questions, right? And there you can find out about Western Union. You can also use Western Union to pay me, but basically my course is $45 a month. You use it as long as you need it, and for that price. Now remember that this is a pretty inexpensive price. I know there's a lot of TOEFL courses like Magoosh that might be a little bit cheaper, but many of these courses don't offer this option. Here's my option. And you have to remember, my course is pretty much free to you guys. The $45, it just covers the cost of operating my website, and I have a teaching assistant who I have to pay to score the writing practice test. Right? So, to answer the question, you can actually send me speaking and writing practice daily. I will score all the writing and speaking practice tests that you send me. And even with your pronunciation practice, I will listen to your pronunciation pre-test, for example. I will give you feedback. When you take your second pronunciation pre-test, I will give you feedback again. And when you're completing pronunciation practice exercises, I will give you feedback. So here's my rule. My basic rule is this. You can send me one speaking and one writing practice test each day, and you will get a score every time you do that, but you cannot send me more than that because that makes me too busy. So I want to make sure that I can give feedback to all of my TOEFL students, right? So that's kind of how I do that. Alright, so let's go back to Suvas Kadakad. So you are from Nepal, and I'm going to answer some questions about speaking. So once you've done your pre-test and you are completing the vowel and consonant sound exercises, also send me speaking practice test daily. This is also very, very important. I recommend that you do this. Right? You're sending me speaking practice tests daily. This is part of what you can do. This is part of your access to my online TOEFL course. And when you're sending speaking practice tests, it usually takes me about 5 or 6 speaking practice tests to figure out what your main problems are, right? So what I'm trying to do is, and let me go over to, let me go to Google for just a minute. Okay, I think we have this. Can we get rid of this for a minute? Let me go over here. Okay, let's take a look at this for a minute. So as I am grading your speaking, I need to figure out what your problems are, right? What are your problems in terms of delivery, language use, and topic development? That's what I had to figure out. So with delivery, what kinds of pronunciation problems are you having? With language use, what kinds of grammar and vocabulary issues are you having? And then with topic development, again, I'm looking at the development and the organization of your ideas, right? Now, once I know that, once I understand that, the next thing is I need to figure out what lessons, what are the specific lessons in my online TOEFL course that are going to help you improve those weaknesses. This is how I work with my students. I tell them what problems they're having. I tell them what they can do to improve in those areas. And it's kind of like a interactive process where you're sending me practice tests, I'm giving you scores, I'm making recommendations, and then you are reviewing specific areas in my course to improve your intelligibility. So let me give an example to illustrate what I'm talking about here. And I'll get back to the improving the speaking thing. Okay, let's see here. Okay, now give me a quick second here. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to my online course. Okay, here it is. I'll just kind of show you how it works. So what you guys are seeing here, this is actually my online TOEFL course right here. So what I do now is when you're doing your speaking practice, I will tell you what you need to do in order to improve. So for example, if let's say we go to the grammar area of my course, so if you complete a practice test and I notice you're having problems with what's called complex sentences and you're using mostly simple sentences in your speaking, right? I'm going to go to the grammar part of my course. We click on that here, and I will tell you based on what your problems are. I'll say, hey, I notice that your grammar is a little bit simple. I want you to study grammar lesson number 5, which is compound sentences. You should look at grammar lesson number 6, adjective clauses. You should do lesson number 7, 8, and 9, noun clauses, adverb clauses, and multiple clauses, right? So based on the problems that you're having, I will recommend specific problems that address those weaknesses. You see what I'm saying? Or how about this? A common problem that you may have is intonation. So let's go over to pronunciation. So if you have a problem with intonation, I'm going to go to the pronunciation area of my course, and I will recommend here, I'll say, hey, I noticed that you have problems with intonation. I want you to go through the lessons, speak clearly lesson number 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. So study those lessons. Your purpose is to learn how to vary your intonation more than you are. That's kind of what I will do. Is based on your errors, I will recommend specific lessons to help you address those areas. So how many lessons do I have total? I have over 700 vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, listening, reading, writing, and speaking lessons that address all the issues that you have. All right? Okay, so let's go back over to the video. I want to check the questions here. I'm getting a lot of questions. Okay, so improving the speaking skills. I'm still on the Subesh, you say, now it's time for me to leave. Goodbye to you. Have a great day and Merry Christmas to you if you have to leave, no problem. But I'm not done here. I got to go back to improving the speaking, right? So let's keep focusing on this. I don't want to go in too many different directions right now. And if you're watching the video and you need to leave, no problem. You can go whenever you need to. If you want, you can come back to my YouTube channel and you can watch the video later on, right? After it's fully uploaded, you can also watch it and see it. Okay, so send practice tests daily. This is important. Now the next thing is, I recommend, in addition to sending me practice tests daily, go through the listening and the reading sections of my online course. I think this is also good. Now I'm going to give you a tip. Now when you go through the listening part of my course, I have about 40 listening practice tests that you can practice. And what you want to do is really focus on note-taking. So I'll write down some key information here. So focus on getting notes. You want to get notes on the main and the most important supporting points of the listening and the reading passages. Now, note-taking is not easy. It takes time, but if you start practicing on a daily basis, you will get better. So as you're doing the listening and reading sections of my course, start taking down notes on the main and the most important supporting points of those passages. Then you can do this. You can give maybe 3 to 5 60-second oral summaries each week. You can do that. It's going to be very helpful. And when you're doing this practice, you don't need to send me these oral summaries. You can just do this for independent study because remember, you're already sending me speaking practice every day anyway. But you're doing more practice and you're focusing in the listening and reading parts of my course. You're getting those notes and you're also giving 3 to 5 60-second oral summaries each week, right? And that's important. That's going to be very, very helpful for you. Now, meanwhile, I'll give you some other suggestions, and this helps you improve your speaking. You want to watch, I'm going to say 3 or 4 full-length movies weekly. You want to do this. It's important for you to get exposure, get as much exposure to the language as you can, right? Full-length movies in English. Now, you can use closed caption or not. When you're using closed caption, you're focusing a lot on how the speakers or how the actors are saying the words that they say. That can be very helpful for your pronunciation. Now, the other one, if possible, I want you to join this group. You can learn more about this. Join Toastmasters. Write this down. Now, what is Toastmasters? I'll show you about this organization here in just a minute. Just giving you a tip here about how to improve your speaking. Okay. Toastmasters, if you go on the internet here, give me a quick second here. Toastmasters is an international organization designed to help students improve their leadership and their speaking abilities of English. It's kind of like a support group. So people that have a fear of speaking, but they need to speak English for their job, either in the United States or in other countries, you can join this organization. And in big cities all over the world, even cities in India, sometimes in the Middle East, and certainly in the United States, you can find a support group and you can practice your speaking and your leadership skills, and you can meet with other people who also want to improve that. So I think that's a really good idea, is to join that particular organization. That would be my advice on that. See if I can show you what it looks like here. Okay, so let's go over to, this is the website here, right? It's called Every Toastmaster Journey Starts with a Single Speech. And basically what they do here is they make you speak every time you come to a meeting. Now, it does cost a little bit of money. It's not very expensive, but I highly recommend that you guys join this club. If there is one in your city, in your country, if you're in the United States, you certainly can find these clubs. For example, I teach at California State University, San Bernardino, and they have at least 10 or 12 clubs in my city. Right? So you can go to this website. You can learn more about membership, resources, events. You can find a club near you. You can contact them if you have questions. So I think this is also a very important, way of improving your speaking. So it's called Toastmasters. All right? So let's go back to what I was saying a minute ago. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to say here, I'm going back here, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to finish this area about improving speaking, right? Okay, so once you've done number 5, you want to go number 6. Find opportunities to speak English daily, right? So you got to be creative. You got to figure that out. So to conclude this part of this live stream YouTube video, somebody asked me in the chat how to improve speaking. So I'm encouraging these students Number one, join my online TOEFL course if you're on a tight budget and you don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars improving your English, and you don't want to pay for an English language program, which literally costs thousands of dollars, and you have to get a special visa, and a lot of students will come over to the United States or some other English-speaking country. You got to pay room and board. All of that is very expensive. However, if you go to my online TOEFL course and join my course, you will get exactly the same kind of instruction you will get in an intensive English program, except that a lot of these intensive English programs, they don't have somebody that has 22 years of experience like I do. So you won't even find somebody who is as experienced as I am with TOEFL speaking or TOEFL writing or TOEFL in general. Right, but you take a pretest, you start sending me speaking practice tests daily so I can get more used to the kinds of problems you're having, right? And in the listening and reading sections of my course, you focus on getting down notes, you practice giving 3 to 5 60-second oral summaries each week, watch 3 to 4 movies weekly, join Toastmasters.org, and find opportunities to speak English daily. If you can do these 6 things, and you do these things for a period of probably 2 or 3 months, you will find that you will become more and more comfortable to speak English. Alright? And that is my answer to that question. Alright, let's go back to the live dashboard. Now don't give me too many questions. It takes me time to answer these questions. Right? So I think Suvas Kada, I think you have to leave, right? So you said difficulty to speak English, how to improve it. So I think I just focused on 6 things that you can do that can help you improve your speaking, right? So I can say that. Let's say Shinjue Zhang says, I am confused. I cannot focus on 2 things like listening and taking notes at the same time. You say, you say, pay attention to take notes. It's very difficult for me to focus on listening. And that's okay, Shinjue Zhang. It's okay. It's no problem. That's why you have to start practicing, because in the beginning, when you start taking notes in the beginning, it becomes difficult for you. It's not easy. But as you practice, you will find that you can develop this skill. You can do better with this skill, right? So practice makes perfect, and soon enough, probably in 1 or 2 months, you will do a better job with your note-taking. Now, one other thing that might be important for you, Shinjue Zhang, let me show you something. I'm going to go over to my online TOEFL course for just a minute. You probably need to study vocabulary, right? So if you have a really difficult time trying to recognize what kinds of words that you're hearing and you just can't recognize them, you don't know what to do there, let me show you a couple of things. Give me a quick second here. So the vocabulary section of my course is the first section of my course, right? So if you're really struggling and you can't really understand anything that you listen to, now that's a whole different ball game, but you probably need to study. I have a great lesson in the first section of my course. It's vocabulary lesson 3. It's a 150-page ebook of 200 basic TOEFL words. You should learn these words, and you will hear them. You will read them. You will see how they are pronounced. Once you've mastered those words, you should go to lesson number 4. This is my second vocabulary list. Again, there's 500 words here, A through E, and then lesson 5 is another 500 vocabulary words. This is E through P, and finally, in lesson 6, you should also learn these 500 words, right? And in all these cases, you can download my vocabulary and put them on your phone or your iPad. You can listen to them. And then it will be easier for you to recognize those in listening and maybe reading passages. So that would be one of my comments to help you, I think. And this will be very good for your note-taking, because if you're practicing vocabulary and you even practice pronouncing the words, you practice seeing them and reading passages, you practice hearing them in lectures, it's going to get better. You will get better in that area, there's no doubt. You see what I'm saying? Okay, let's go back here for just a quick second. Okay, I think we're okay here. I think I've answered most of everyone's questions here, right? Now, as you guys have more questions, you can post them, and I will continue to monitor the chat here, and we will see kind of how things are going. All right? So let me give me a quick second here. I need to do something. Hold on a second. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to check my email here. And hopefully it won't be like yesterday. Yesterday when I checked my email for the first time, I had about 100 email messages. And sometimes what I'm doing at YouTube, and you guys can come back from time to time, what I'm trying to do is each week or each day right now, I'm trying to go live stream at YouTube. I want to be available to anyone at YouTube who has questions about TOEFL preparation in general, questions about improving academic English language abilities, right? So I want to be available for you guys. Okay, give me a quick second here. Let's see what we have. So I'm going to email now. Not too bad. So I have 63 emails today, so it's a lot better than the other day. Wow, I just got a great email here. It says, well, actually, I'm not going to worry about this one right now. So let's go back. Let's do some speaking practice. So somebody did an independent writing practice test, so I'm not going to grade that. My teaching assistant is going to grade that. And that's why, I mean, if I could, I would offer my course for free, but I have to pay people to help me do the grading. For example, this student, his name's Luis, he just completed independent writing practice test number 12, so my teaching assistant, who has graded thousands of practice tests, he's actually going to read and grade that. So I'm going to send that over to him. Okay, let's go to speaking. Okay, so you guys at YouTube, this is going to be interesting. I don't know if some of you have ever seen this before, but I'm actually going to listen to a speaking practice test submitted by one of my online TOEFL students. Now remember, my goal here is to give him a score. If you guys want to practice, you can also do this. So the question is, I think he's doing independent speaking here, right? So here's my question. So after you guys hear his response, think about, you can write down on some notes, how would you score this student in terms of his delivery, language use, and topic development? Would you give him a score 4, 3, 2, or 1? Right? So remember, to get a score 4, his speech is very clear. To get a score 4, he has effective use of grammar vocabulary, has a very high degree of automaticity, and very good control of basic and complex structures, which means that he doesn't use just basic vocabulary or basic grammar. He uses a combination of basic and advanced. And then he has some minor or systematic errors, but they don't obscure meaning. That's what describes the language use. The topic development, the response is sustained and sufficient to the task, it's generally well developed and coherent, and relationship between ideas are clear. That's kind of how it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my email now, and I can download it now. So he's doing independent speaking practice test number 12. I will tell you what this is in just a minute.
Although many people...
Okay, so let me tell you what this question is, because you can't really grade anything until you know what the topic is. Okay, and I think he's doing this one. Let me double check and make sure I'm on the right one here. So,
consider that it's not a good idea to give children cell phones.
So the question is, should we give children cell phones? Why or why not? Right? That's the question. Or here, if I show you what it is here. You guys see it here? So it says, do you think children should be given cell phones? That's the actual question right there. So we need to see how he answers this question. All right? Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and listen to it now. And what I want to do now, let's hear the whole speaking practice test, all 45 seconds, then I will go back and listen to it again.
Although many people consider that it's not a good idea to give children cell phones, I believe that it's actually a good idea, mainly for two reasons. The first reason is because kids can communicate anywhere they are. For instance, the other day, my nephew, whom is new at town, got lost by downtown, and he just gave us a call and we picked him up. The other reason is because children can get important information, access to important information on internet. For instance, my nephew was trying to solve some math exercises, and he just pretty much browsed it in his cell phone and he got the right answers. And for those reasons, I consider that it's a good idea to give children cell phones.
Alright, so think about how you guys would score this. You might want to write down. So would you give it a score? 4, 3, 2, or 1? What score would you give that practice test that you just listened to? Okay, now I'm going to make a recording here. I need to talk to this student directly, so you guys at YouTube be patient. Hi there. These comments are for El Rasta, also known as Luis, and I'm listening to your independent speaking practice test number 12. So let's go ahead and listen to this practice test.
Although many people consider that it's not a good idea to give children cell phones, I believe that it's actually a good idea, mainly for two reasons. The first.
Okay, so in the beginning you have a counter argument, right? Some don't like it, but you do. So I like how you begin your response and you're using although plus your independent clause. So that's a complex sentence, so that's a good thing. So you're trying to demonstrate right away you have pretty good control of your grammar.
The reason is because kids can communicate anywhere they are.
Now you said first reason is kids can communicate wherever they are, but that doesn't exactly directly connect to what you're saying. So I would say first of all, children should be given cell phones because it gives them a more convenient form of communication. If you said that more focuses around the speaking prompt. It makes more of an argument, and then you can give an example to support that point. So I'm just giving you an example of how you can reframe that first support point, and then you can follow that with details.
For instance, the other day, my nephew, whom is new at town, got lost by...
There, I'm having some trouble with your language use, your delivery right in here. Let's listen to it again.
The other day, my nephew, whom is new at town, got lost.
So my nephew's home is near town, so you had some problems with pacing there. So your pausing wasn't exactly good on that. So my nephew's home is near town. I would kind of say it like that.
By downtown. And he just gave us a call and we picked him up. My nephew, whom is new at town, got lost by downtown. He just
I would say got lost in the downtown area. I would say something like that.
gave us a call and we picked him up.
So how about this? He used his cell phone to call us, and then we picked him up. So don't just say phone, but talk about cell phones, right? Because the purpose of the example is to illustrate why cell phones improve communication.
The other reason is because children can get important information, access to important information.
But see, you're saying, well, the other reason is children can get access to important information. You're making a fact, but you need to make more of an argument. So if you change that and say, well, secondly, children should also be given cell phones because of, and then state what you're saying, and then that will more directly connect back to the purpose of your task. So you're having some topic development issues with your speaking.
Internet. For instance, my nephew was trying to solve some math exercises, and he just pretty much browsed it in his cell phone, and he got the right.
Now, I would say pretty much
was trying to solve some math exercises, and he just pretty much.
I would just say, and he used his cell phone to
browse it in his cell phone, and he got the right answers. And for those reasons, I consider that it's a good idea to give children cell phones.
There, that was good. At the very end, you end it with maybe a short sentence that goes back to the purpose of the speaking. That's good, right? However, you could improve. I think based on some of the comments I'm giving you, I think that you can improve your topic development a little more. Okay, let's go back to the rubrics here. So your score here, I'm going to give you about a score of 3.0 out of 4, 23 points out of 30 on this. So overall, I think your speech is pretty clear. You have pretty good control of your grammar and your vocabulary, but I think there are some things that you can do to improve your topic development. Definitely, you can do that. So what do? I recommend go to my speaking lesson number 7, Luis. In that lesson, it'll give you some tips on how you can organize your speaking and your writing, for that matter, in a more coherent manner. So you can definitely take a look at that. I think that'll give you some really good tips on what you can do and how you can do it. So review that lesson, and most importantly, as you do your next speaking practice test, try to take the ideas from that lesson into your practice. Right? So once again, I'm going to give you a score of 3, or about 23 points out of 30 on this particular practice test. Okay, YouTubers, I'm done. So that was Luis's speaking task for December 24th. Now, how did you guys score? Did you give it a 4? Did you give it a 3? Did you give it a 2? Did you give it a 1? I gave it a 3. I think 3 best describes the actual speaking prompt there. Okay, so let me go ahead and send him a quick email. And this is what I do every day. My students send me speaking and writing practice. I listen to it, I grade it, I give them comments, I email them back. It's very simple. And the more my students practice, the higher their speaking and writing scores get. And I have over 700 lessons in 7 areas to help my students prepare or improve their English in all areas. That's pretty much how it works. So my goal really is not to just help my students get high TOEFL scores. I want to help them develop English, long-term English proficiency. That's what my course is all about. Okay, now I'm going to send him a quick email. Now be patient. I'm going to go back over to the YouTube. Remember, I can't just look at the chat all the time when I'm doing this kind of work. I got to really concentrate on what I'm doing. So I haven't checked you guys' comments, but I will check them in just a minute. To do this kind of job, to be a TOEFL speaking and writing specialist, it takes a lot of concentration. It really does. I got to really focus on my students to give them the best comments possible to help them improve. So for the last speaking practice test that you guys heard, So for Luis to improve, he needs to improve in his topic development. If he can improve more in how he organizes and develops his ideas, I think this response would have been closer to the 26-point threshold. Okay, so I'm sending him an email, and now I'm going back to the YouTube Live. I'm checking it out. Let's take a look at, somebody made a comment. It says, Yasna Ray says, hello sir, I have some problems in writing. Is the course will help me? I wouldn't say is the course will, I say will the course help me to be more professional in English? The answer is yes, yes, and yes. Because what I will do is I will help you learn how to organize and develop your points better. Now, I'm going to be honest to you. I'm a very honest guy. I will not correct all the errors in your writing. You guys have seen some videos at YouTube where I've done that. But these students whose papers I've error corrected, they've actually paid me money to do that. I typically do not do that for free, or not even for the $45 a month that you pay to have access to my online course. To correct all the errors in the essay takes me up to an hour. You guys might have seen it YouTube. It's a very complicated process. And that goes over to Shinwei Zhang says, thank you for your tips. I've been watching many videos from your YouTube channel. In effect, you are the most professional teacher about this area. I hope you can do more live broadcasting. I will. I definitely will. The writing thing is very boring. Not everybody likes it. I'll be honest with you. When I do an error correction video, it is a very tedious, a very slow, a very boring process, right? But I do those from time to time. And Shinjue Zhang, you say a few days ago you made a wonderful correction. Now, I'm going to make a correction for what you said. You say you have made a wonderful correction here, but I want to take what you said here and let's look at this. I want to talk to you about something for just a minute, which I think is important. So other people watching this video, I want you guys to pay attention to this too. Okay, so let's go over to screen capture. Now I can't correct all the errors that you guys are doing with your chat, but I want to point out this one because it brings up a good point. Okay, you guys see this? Let's make it a little bit bigger. I want to make sure you guys can see this. So it says, a few days ago you have made a wonderful correction about a writing assignment from one of your students. I learned a lot from your correction. Well done, and thank you for that. Now I'm going to make a correction on this. Now the present perfect, usually you're using the present perfect to talk about an action in the past that continues up into the moment of speaking. So here, because you said a few days ago, and that marks it as past tense. That's past tense, not present perfect. So a few days ago, you made a wonderful correction about a writing assignment. That's how I would change that. So there is a difference between, I think, the simple past and the present perfect tense, right? So simple past, it's an action which begins and ends in the past. And we typically use noun markers, kind of like what you did, right? You actually did. So you're using, you used, because you said a few days ago, that really marks this as an action which begins and ends in the past. Now present perfect, it begins in the past and continues in the present, right? I might say this: I have lived in Oak Hills, California for several years. So do you see the difference there? In this case, I'm saying I have lived in Oak Hills, California for several years, so I'm using the present perfect to talk about an action that begins in the past, but it continues in the present time. So there's a little bit of a difference there. So be careful about the simple past and the present perfect. You see what I'm saying? So be careful about that. All right, let me go back here. Wow. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to go over to my email again, and let's see what other students have said today. And I'll just kind of go through. A lot of this is just spam. I can get through it pretty quickly. Okay, my teaching assistant is grading practice tests, which is good. That's his job. Okay, wait a minute. We got one more here. I have a speaking practice test that is submitted by one of my online TOEFL course students. His name is Raphael, and let's take a look at his question. His question is, when going on vacation, some like to have a tour guide plan their entire trip beforehand. In contrast, others do not like to use a tour guide at all. So which do you prefer? Give reasons and examples to support your response. That is the question. Now let's do what we did before. I want you guys at YouTube to listen to the response. I'm going to play the whole thing once. The question is, how would you score it? Would you give it a score 4, 3, 2, or 1? How would you score this particular practice test? That is the question. You see what I'm saying? So let me say again. So do you want a tour guide to plan your trip or not? So which one do you think is better? That's what he's focusing on in this response. Okay, here we go.
Because it helps me to save money and also it is going to be more safety, I prefer a tour guide plan. Well, it is going to be more efficient in terms of time management, taking into account that these plans usually are devised by travel agencies who know perfectly how distant are certain attractions to another. Thus, I do not have to spend too much time moving from one attraction to another. In addition, I consider that it is more safety, considering that in the plans are included suggested transportation, which could be very useful in dangerous cities like Rio, where it's very common that the taxi drivers are robbers. So in this way, we could reduce the risk of being attacked by them significantly.
Okay, so we got it. We just listened to it. Now, I have to do what I did before. I'm now going to make a recording within a recording. I'm going to make a specific recording talking directly to Raphael. Here we go. Hi, Raphael, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. And I'm going to listen to your independent speaking practice test number 129. So basically, do you want a tour guide or not to help you plan your trip? Do you want to do it on your own, or do you want to use a tour guide to do that, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and listen to your response, and I'll try to break it up in different parts here.
Because it helps me to save money and also it's going to be more safety, I prefer a tour.
It's not more safety. You want to use more plus an adjective, not a noun. So it helps you save money and it's safer. I think one syllable adjectives, Raphael, they can just you can put ER or EST on the end of the word. You don't have to say more. So just say because it helps save money and it's safer.
Guide plan. Well,
now I like the introduction, right? Your introduction focuses around 2 specific points. So you think that the tour guide will help you save money and it's a safer way to plan and take a trip. That's the argument you're trying to make, right? So now you have to kind of develop and show why you believe the way you do. So now let's get into the body of your response so we can hear how you've actually answered this question.
It's going to be more efficient in terms of time management, taking into account that these plans usually are devised by travel agencies who know perfectly how distant our
It's not it's perfectly. So word stress, be careful. Be careful of the word stress, because it's that distracting kind of word stress shift that's going to cause the IBT human raters to give reason to give you below a 4. So you really want to work on that. I know it's a big problem for you. Now, if you go to YouTube, go to YouTube and listen to some music, Raphael. You can play some songs, put on your headphones, practice singing. Sing with the speaker and really pay attention to the word stress as you're singing those songs.
The attraction to another. Thus, I do not.
I like the word thus. You're showing cause-effect relationship.
Spend too much time moving from one attraction to another. In addition, I consider that.
Now make sure as you're saying that first point, you need to connect it within the context of how the travel agent is going to help you with those things.
It is more safety, considering that in the plans are included suggested transportation.
It is safer if I use a travel agent to help me plan my trip. Remember, go back to the travel agent or the tour guide. The tour guide or the travel agent, this is very important. This is part of the speaking task, so you should repeat that word or those two words a few times in your response, because that's telling me why you agree with that point. So sometimes in your response, you want to make the connection more clear of how it relates back to that idea.
Which could be very useful in dangerous cities like Rio, where it's very common that the taxi drivers are robbers. So in this way, we could reduce the risk of being.
So that way, having an agent plan the trip can reduce the risk. That's how I would say that at the end of your response there. So again, you're connecting it back to the purpose of the speaking.
Attacked by them significantly.
Okay, so I want you to pay attention to adjectives, right? So you're not sure about more or most, right? Now in my website, if you go to the grammar part of my course, I want you to study adjectives, right? Now I'm going to give you some key words that you can use when you go to Google, right? So here's the key words: using more and most with adjectives. Or say it this way, here's Google: using more and most with longer syllable adjectives, or using ER and EST with shorter adjectives. So I want you to get more familiar with how to use that kind of grammar, because you had problems in this response. Also, you said because it's more safety, you're using is. I think after the word is a linking verb, it's very common to use a subject complement, an adjective as a subject complement for that matter. So you need to be a little bit more familiar with the subject plus the be verb plus the adjective or the noun type sentence. So you need to get more familiar with that too. Alright, so now let's take a look at your score. Overall, you had very good connection of ideas for the most part, but the one thing that I want to give you the suggestion is you didn't really say too much about, you didn't restate the tour guide planning your trip enough throughout the response, so it could have been a little better organized in that area. You had some language issues, you had some minor delivery issues on this one, but still I think it's a pretty good response, but not going to score a 4. You're not going to get a score 4 on this one, so I'm going to put you at about 3.0 out of 4, 23 points out of 30 on this particular practice test. Alright? Thank you. Alright, YouTubers, how did you guys score it? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send him a quick email. Raphael's very close. He's got to overcome certain difficulties, right? All my students have different kinds of problems they're working on. One main issue with Raphael, because he's already sent me about 30 different speaking practice tests for me to listen to. I'm telling you, word stress is something he really needs to focus on. He already knows that, and this is the value of having a TOEFL IBT speaking specialist, is we can figure out, based on your response, what specific problems you're having and what's holding back your speaking score. So I know what he needs to do to get better. Okay, I'm going to send him a quick email here. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. We got it. Now I'm going to send him a quick message right now. Now I'm going back to the live dashboard here. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. Let's see here. Jinwei John says, thank you for your grammar correction. I'm very impressed by your patience. I need to join your online course. I hope I can get more help from you. Of course you can. You say, I'm 41 years old. I missed the best time to learn English, but I don't want to give up. You know, there is a question on that. Is there an ideal time to learn a language? And a lot of linguists believe there is a critical period, I think, of learning a language, and the best time to learn a language is probably between 0 and puberty. That means 0 to maybe 12 or 13 years of age approximately. That seems to be the ideal time. However, a lot of adults like yourself, if you are motivated, if you are seriously motivated, then you can probably overcome those limitations and still master the language. It's not easy. So at least you understand that it's difficult, but if you're motivated and you work hard, you can make up for some of those things. Ty Alexandra says, Merry Christmas, and thank you for helping and teaching us. Best wishes from Brazil. Thank you, sir. And a very Merry Christmas for you also. And let me keep going here. I'm going to go back through my email here. Give me a quick second. So I just sent that message to my student, and I'm basically just checking my email. This is just a very boring video, nothing exciting here. But you guys, it's important if you can kind of see, you know, being a TOEFL teacher, it is challenging, and it does require a lot of, I think what Xinhui Zhuang said, is that we have to be patient. But the main thing that I found out for TOEFL teachers is you have to be consistent. I need to give my students feedback every day, pretty much. And the more feedback I give them, the better they're going to get. And one of my students, Raphael, that you just heard, he just completed a writing practice test, so I'm going to send this over to my teaching assistant to grade, so he can do that. Let me keep going here. Okay, I think we're okay here. And let me keep going here. I'm just checking a few emails. I think we can just about finish. So you guys get ready. If you have any more questions, I'm probably not going to be online very much longer here. So basically, I'm just clearing out my emails and answering a few questions from you guys. And this is I think what I'm going to do for the next few weeks, maybe the next few months, is I have to go online to check and read emails and answer questions anyway. So what I will be doing is I will be doing some live stream from YouTube. So if you guys have any questions as I'm doing my work, you can certainly post those questions below the chat. and I will try to answer as many of those questions as I can. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks. And I have one more thing I need to do. Yesterday, somebody had a question. It says, actually it's not that one. Let me go back. Give me a quick second here. Hold on. Here it is. Somebody at Quora said, can TOEFL be prepared by on their own? They wanted to know if they can study TOEFL on their own, and I'm actually going to answer this question right now for this student. I'm going to send this to them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send this message over to the person. They're asking a question of, can TOEFL be prepared on her own, right? So I need to figure out exactly when in the video did I answer that, how many minutes into the video, so give me a quick second on that. Okay, give me a quick second here, I need to look through something. So I get grammar questions and just all kinds of questions every day. Yes, I get. Okay, now I need to save this screen capture and I'm going to email this over to my student. Okay, let's see, where is it? I think I have it. So it's 31:55, 31 minutes and 55 seconds into the video. That's what I actually answer the question. That's what I need to tell the person at Quora. Okay, I think we're good here. Okay, we're good on that. Okay, let me go back to the live stream here, see if we have any more questions. Shinwei Zhuang says, can you tell us a specific time about your live broadcasting? It's hard to say. My schedule is pretty crazy, so sometimes I cannot give a specific time, so I apologize for that. The last few days, I was doing it around 10 o'clock, but today I know things are going to get really busy, so I did it around 6 a.m. so I could get this all done before I get really busy. So I apologize. Sometimes I don't have a specific time, but what I'll do in some cases, if I want a really, really big audience, I will notify people at YouTube maybe a day in advance, and I'll tell them when I want to do it. Does that make sense? Alright, let's go back to more emails. I think I'm almost done. I need to go over to my VoxyPop discussion group to see if anybody left any speaking over there. Okay, let's see here. There is one. I have one more speaking I need to grade for today. Almost missed it. Okay, so this student is doing integrated speaking practice test number 14. Almost missed this one. Okay, give me a quick second. So for you guys don't know what the reading or the listening passage is, but just listen to it. And with the integrated speaking, again, where would you score this one? Would you score it around a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1? So let me talk to this student quickly. So I'm just doing another speaking practice test for today. Alright, give me a quick second here. Let's see what this student has to say. All right. Okay, let me talk to this student just briefly. Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Ravender, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. And you have completed, it looks like, integrated speaking practice test number 14. So here we go.
In this session, many women are talking about the Professor John's syllabus. They specifically talk about the method of the research paper, and the board seems to be unhappy about the professor's idea of fixing the page length to 6 to 7 pages. And we will provide a few examples of students who were the ex-student of professor. That the paper was 5.5 pages long, to which the professor then gave them good marks. Another student also gave the exam because his paper was moving long, having the 7.5 pages. So, considering these two students, the men and women think that it's not a great idea for the professor to fix the page length, and for that they need to be extra cautious while writing their paper. So, the men and women are unhappy about the professor's.
I wouldn't say unhappy, I would say that both the man and the woman agree that the professor is inflexible regarding the page length requirement for the assignment, right? So it needs to be 6 to 7 pages, not 7.5, not 5.5. So I think overall, maybe let's listen to it one more time from the beginning. Let's see.
In this session, men and women are talking about the Professor John's syllabus.
I would say they are talking about the requirements or the page length requirements for Professor Jones' research paper. So you're not exactly explaining the purpose, I think, of the conversation there.
Specifically talk about the length of the research paper, and the board seems to be unhappy about.
They're talking about these specific requirements regarding the paper, and the one student wants to know how flexible the professor is regarding this page length requirement.
The professor's idea of fixing the page length to 6 to 7 pages, and we will provide a few examples of students who were the ex-student of professor.
Okay.
That the paper was 5.5 pages long, to which the professor then gave them good marks. Another student also gave the exam.
I wouldn't say give them, but gave him or her. So you're referring back to a specific student there, so use a singular pronoun in that case. So not give them, but give him or her.
Because his paper was moving long, having these 7.5 pages. So, considering these two
Consequently, there are some word stress issues with that.
students, the men and women think that it's not a great idea for the professor to fix the page length, and for that they need to be extra cautious while writing their paper. So, the men and women are unhappy about the professor's.
So therefore, I would say at the end, therefore, based on the conversation, the student learns that the professor is inflexible regarding the 6 to 7 page length requirement for the project. It shouldn't be short, it shouldn't be long, it should be between 6 and 7 pages if the student wants to get a good grade on the paper. You see what I'm saying? So I think on this one we're having some trouble with topic development. I think you had some trouble accurately explaining the idea or fully explaining the points there. So that's why I'm going to put you a little bit below the 3 range on this one. So let's take a look at the rubrics here. So on this one, I'm going to put your score at about 2.8 out of 4, 22 points out of 30. I think it might score in the 2 range because of some problem, some incompleteness or inaccuracy with the content as you were explaining the conversation. I think you had some trouble with that. You did have some delivery issues. Your recording is not entirely clear, so you can probably work on that a little bit more too. Alright, so again, your score is right around 22 points out of 30 on this practice test. And thank you, Ravender, for doing that. And as one of my students, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So the best present for me, you want to give me a good present? The best present for me is take the TOEFL test, get 26 in the speaking, email me back, show me your results. I will be so happy when you can do that. And I think you're getting close, but just be careful. Make sure you're speaking, giving 100%, doing the best you can. Try to avoid any delivery or any topic development problems. Okay, YouTubers. I'm done giving her comments. Okay. I'm going back to the live. I'm going to go back to the chat here in just a minute and see if you guys have any questions. And thank you for your patience. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, let's see. It says, you say, today you have most people are celebrating Christmas, so we cannot have more students here. It's okay. I don't need a lot of students. I'm fine. If I have 6 people, if I have 2 people, it doesn't matter to me. I don't need to reach millions of people. My philosophy is I'm already a full-time professor at California State University, San Bernardino. I already have a job. I don't need to make that much extra money. So I help when I can. I help students when I can. That's what I can do. And because I have been teaching English as a second language now for about 22 years, I have a special love in my heart for international students. I like to help them. That's part of what I like to do as a person. Okay, we have one more student here, Yazan Ray. You say, thank you, sir. I say, you are welcome. And have a very Merry Christmas for you. So everybody who's been watching this live feed at YouTube, thank you for your watching today. Hey, if you know anybody else who's interested in learning about the TOEFL exam or improving their TOEFL score, you can tell them 2 things. You can tell them to go to my YouTube channel, and you can say, hey, this guy's doing some live feed video broadcasts. You can tell them that. You can also tell them to go to my online TOEFL course at onlinetoeflcourse.com. Alright, so from my house to yours, Merry Christmas, everybody, here at YouTube.